have on the line? It's a little quiet here this morning. Everybody's in holiday mode.
Good morning, Eric Clarence, Georgia. Good morning, Debbie Callahan, Las Vegas, Nevada.
Good morning, Mark Holmes, Baltimore, Maryland.
Good morning.
Good morning, Sandra Rose, Tampa, Florida.
Good morning, Sandra.
Good morning, Cheryl Thompson in Chicago. Good morning, this is Beverly from Chicago, Illinois.
Good morning, everyone. All right, well, we're top of the hour. We'll get this call locked down and get started. Good morning, everybody. This is Ron Goles calling in from Dallas, Texas. Finally getting warming up a little bit here after just a beautiful white Christmas we had. Kind of a little bit unusual, but it was beautiful. We had a lot of great time here this last week with our family, kids coming in and family. It was really quite special this year, and it's amazing how fast the year went itself. I know this is that time of year where naturally people do a lot of reflecting back on the year and all the blessings that we received throughout the year, and just quite interesting. All that's happened here with Beach International, really a watershed year, with our opening of our new corporate offices, our new manufacturing facilities, all of the countries that came online this year, the international markets, brand new markets that came online, as well as the advancements in so many of the markets that we did have open. It really was a busy, special year. And I trust everyone is also reflecting back on their businesses throughout the year, and how many great new people have joined our teams, the advancement those people have made, and of course what we've done too within our individual businesses. But it is that time of reflections, and I think what's most important is for everyone to realize what has taken place and really counting the blessings and having that attitude of gratitude of what 2012 was. But then at the same time, this time of year, we look forward to the new year and what the new year will bring. I guess, thank goodness, the Mayan, everybody was wrong about the Mayans and what they had in mind for December 21st. We're still here, and we're still growing and having a lot of fun. But it is that time that we take as a family. I take as personally work with many of the leaders in our organization to look forward. What is it that we want to accomplish in 2013? I know so many people, resolutions, we hear it all the time, New Year's resolutions, and they drive me crazy because I don't think I know of any New Year's resolutions that anybody really keeps. Resolutions are one of those things that, man, it sounds good, and I would like this, and I wish this would happen, and I'd love to lose weight, and I want to get healthy, and I need to make more money. But those really are very hollow statements, resolutions to me. What's important, though, is that this time of year, as we look into the new year coming up, 2013, is we set goals. Goals are specifics. Many things are long-term, and it's okay to have those goals. It's okay to make those plans. Me personally, I do, but I just don't plan the outcome. Because last year, the beginning of last year couldn't have forecasted what was going to happen in 2012. As our organizations, we've opened up so many international markets. I traveled to Asia several times, heading out again the first part of this year. Wouldn't have been able to predict that. Of course, there was goals on volume and legs and all those things that we would make goals about, but that's great. Had the plan to make that happen. The important thing was to get into action. When we set a goal, we have to have a very specific time frame, and we have to have and back down to the increments that are going to help us reach those goals. And by going through the activity, by taking the action, then we will realize those goals. And certainly that's what we did. Had volume goals, had leg goals, leadership goals, all of those things. But it's never can predict how it's going to be achieved. So I encourage everyone, this here, today, throughout the weekend, leading up to the New Year's Day, take some quiet time first in reflection. Also, set your goals. What do you want to accomplish personally? Things in your personal life with your families, friends, those organizations, your church, whatever it may be that you would like to see happen in 2013. Then also sit together with your family, significant other, and do the same thing, really as a group. And it's also a great idea to do that, that have that same exercise with you, with your organization, with your leadership, with your team. I know we have done that for many, many years as a family, and it's interesting to see what comes out of those little brainstorming sessions, those dream-building sessions, many times you want to call it. And we'll talk a little bit about the business in a moment, but one thing that I do know here in this business, in our industry, we are, most people are going to be part-time, and even if you're full-time and just getting started, we're all just getting started. This is just the tip of the iceberg. We have so much in front of us that we can't even imagine what it's going to look like in 2, 3, 4, 5 years, what our lives are going to look like, what our businesses are going to look like. But sit down with your family, because we put a lot of time into building our own businesses, especially if we're part-time with jobs and we have other things that we have responsibilities for. And time is really our most precious asset. I know most people, including myself, that's the reason I got involved in this industry, was not for the money. It was for the time. It was for time freedom, so that I could have the time to do what was important to me, take care of my family, and all the things that we would want extra time for. Unfortunately, I guess money is the barometer. Money is what it takes, because I guess for most of us, the biggest part of our day is trying to generate money to create a lifestyle and provide for our families. But it's that time that's most precious. Yet, when we get involved in the business, now we're going to take away more time, from our families, significant others, hobbies, organization. It's that short-term sacrifice that we must make in order to have the long-term gain. And I don't think anybody on the telephone here today would disagree that if we knew that we were guaranteed without a doubt, if we put our nose to the grindstone, we made all the sacrifices we need to make to get the time that we needed and that it takes to build our businesses. And if literally, if between our jobs and work, with and Zija, that if we spent 2 years working 18 hours a day, but for the rest of our lives, we would earn $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 and more per month, and have all the time that we wanted. Literally, could be semi-retired. I don't think anybody would not take that trade. Now, I know many of us, certainly I did when I got involved in the industry, didn't really understand that. And I would come in and I would come out. I would have that burst of activity. I would be focused. Things would happen, and all of a sudden, things in my personal life, things at my job, in my business, or in my family, would interrupt that. And it the old saying, 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. Well, after a while, it gets a little bit tiring. So I decided, the year I decided that I would make this my full-time profession, I would do whatever it took to get full-time, and then do whatever it would take in order to have that time, to reach that high level of income so I could have and enjoy that time freedom. Everything really changed. So what we did was sit down as a family, because that's really the most important thing that we have to pay attention to, because we're going to sacrifice to make our businesses happen. Well, the other people, in particular our families, significant others, are going to feel that sacrifice. They're going to actually have to sacrifice also, in the sense that they're going to have to let us build our businesses and do whatever it takes. So we, at the end of the year, sit down as a family. It was most important when we first got started in our business here with industry that we sat down so we were all on the same page. We knew exactly what we needed to do, what everybody needed to contribute to make to get our end result what we wanted it to be. And so, if you have children, find out what they want. It's interesting when you find out what other people want, whether it's your family or your team. Sometimes you can be very, very surprised, and that's exactly what we did. In a perfect world, what would we all want to have happen this year, next couple of years, and everyone was able to state their goals. And it's amazing too when you sit down with people and you start brainstorming and talking about goals and vision, what people want to accomplish, if they get what they want, what would they do with it, what would it mean to them. How many people really kind of freeze up? They don't know. They just have resolute, well, I just want to make more money. Well, how much money do you want to make? What would you want your business to provide for you this year? And specifically this year, where do you want to end the year? How do you want to finish out? Where do you want to come out at the end of the year? And then, of course, what would that mean? If that happened, what would that mean in your life? What would you do? If you had extra time, what would you do with that time? If you wanted to upgrade, let's say, and move to a better school district, get a bigger home, or get a newer car, what would that be? Where would you live? What would that house look like? What kind of car would you purchase? Those are the important things to really understand. So we have a very clear picture in our minds. What is it that we were trying to accomplish? It has to be real. We have to be able to taste it and feel it and see it in order for it to have any effect on our mind, so that our mind will then help and bring in all those things necessary, the activities, the action, the communication, the people, the effort that will help us realize our goals. And when everybody has goals, like we experienced with our family, everybody has their goals of what they wanted to accomplish. That's exciting. I mean, it's exciting to dream and to dream of the possibilities, and not just to go through life. Well, here's going to be another year just like last year. If we're lucky, maybe we'll pay down a little bit of debt. There's nothing that moves people to do anything different if that's the way we're thinking. If those are the goals that we have, and that's what we expect the coming year to bring. We have to have that excitement and that something new, something different that will stir our blood. The larger our dreams, the more it's going to stir our blood and spur us into action to help us get through those times and doing those things that we're uncomfortable doing new things, doing more. And when we sat down as a family and everybody, put together their goals of what they wanted, it was wonderful. It was exhilarating. It was fun. But then what happens is we have to decide, okay, well, if we want to have these things, if these are our goals, we want to accomplish our goals, what is it that we have to do? And that's where it gets a little bit tricky. When we sat down and stated all our goals, it's the first thing we did as a family. My turn, when I came last, I told our family, and this is the first time we did this as a family, and that's what I encourage, and it made such an impact on our lives that everyone that would do if they haven't already. But I said this. I want what I want to do. With my career, my job, for our family to provide. I want to be in the network distribution industry full time, and so I have the time that I can coach my son's little league team. I can go to the dances, the recitals, the plays, the activities during the day when the kids were at school. I wanted to be able to take them on vacations to these different places that we talked about. I wanted to be home with them, and first taking a vacation for a week or two or three, and that was all great. Everybody was excited. Now we have to come back and find out what's it going to take to get that done. And I told them, this first year that start this new year, I have a business, but I'm also going to build my side business, right? That's going to be my full-time business. will, it'll be, a job and a half. You'll probably see me less than you ever did. But if all comes out the way I come out, the second year, I'll be able to leave my I'll be able to get out of my business, be able to work my Zija business or my networking business full time. But again, you'll have a very hard time finding me because I'm going to treat it like a job and a half, just like the first year. Now, when that happens the way it's supposed to happen and the numbers that we put down on paper, then the third year, that's the year that we'll have the time to do all these different things that we want to do. I'll have a business, I'll have a residual income, I'll be able to take more time off. And when making that commitment to my family, explaining it to them, they were all, they were very excited about that. They understood. It was stated. They knew what was going to happen, and they knew what the end result would be. So that first year, when I would come home from a day at the office, get upstairs to my office, close the door, and work all night building my network marketing business, and Saturday, going to Super Saturdays and trainings and going to the different regional events that we had, traveling to the groups that we were building. They didn't mind at all because they knew what the end result would be. And it's kind of interesting when I made that commitment to my family, I could not fail. Failure was not an option. See, I can make all these things, I can state all these goals and make all these plans in my head. And if they happen, they happen. If they don't, they don't. But when I made that statement and I declared to my family what I was going to do and what was going to happen, I didn't have a choice. I had to make that happen. I couldn't let a year go by, putzing around, in and out, inconsistent, and then have the end of the year, have the same business I had at the beginning of the year. And that commitment that we make to others, and that's what's important, in my opinion, when we set our goals, we draw that line in the sand. We decide what we want, what we're going to do to get it. We tell other people. We tell people in our organization. We tell our family, our friends. We make that declaration. Now all of a sudden, we not only state it to them, but we state it to the universe. This is what I will do. And, if we don't follow through, we don't do the things we know we need to do, even when we don't feel like doing them, we know we're setting ourselves up to not reach those goals. So, it's that extra incentive that we have by making those public statements that will drive us even harder to achieve those goals. So as we go, into this new year, many of the goals that we're going to set, of course, personally, I talked just a little bit about, but now what is that action plan? What are those incremental steps that we need to use as benchmarks so that at the end of the year we achieve our goals? Well, I think, certainly the first thing is we have to decide what is it that we want at the end of the year, whether that be, we could gauge it by income. That's always a great thing to do. You can, if you're not sure what's possible, what you can do, on the website, it gives the average incomes for all of the PIN levels that we have up to triple diamond. Well, take an income. What is it, that you want to earn? What PIN level would you need to be at to achieve that particular income goal? Once that's in place, now we have to back down and look at what we're going to do to get there. So let's say your goal is diamond. Well, we know we need 5 builder 500 legs, right? So what do we have right now? Maybe we're brand new, we don't have any. Maybe you've been around a little while and you have 1, you have 2. So backing it down, the next goal is going to be to develop 5 builder 500 legs. And then we're going to back it down even farther. How many people do I have right now in my organization that I believe, and based on what they've said and the actions they've taken so far, who could get there? Who wants to be one of those, or who are those 5 people that I'll build those 5 legs underneath? Not necessarily a personal, it could be someone down within an enrollment tree leg that you're going to focus on and you're going to build. But you must have a game plan. Who is it that you are going to work with? Who is it that you're going to build these legs around? And by the way, it's great to make plans, right? But I don't plan the outcome because we don't know. Maybe that person will, maybe that person won't. So backing it down even further, we have to enroll right. We know what we need to do by the end of the year. It's going to be 5. Based on what you have right now, how many more would you need to add to build? And so set your goal. Maybe the most important goal, I think, that we could have would be to be a qualified Team 250 member every single period. So by definition, we must enroll at least one person every period. Now, we know we can enroll preferred customers, and that's fine, but they're not business builders. My personal goal is always to enroll at least one. My personal goal is 2 per period. 2 people, 2 quality people per period that at least say they want to build a business, at least have the potential. Don't know until they get started, until they get into action. They get in January and may not get started till May or June. That's okay. But I'm always looking to add personally to the team. So not only does it benefit me, obviously, as I can build new enrollment tree legs, but it's going to benefit the people that they're placed underneath. Once you have 2 people, they have to go somewhere under somebody. And so I take it the responsibility to build my business like everyone should. It's up to me. I will do that. I will work and do whatever it takes to help build the team through personal enrollment, the energy that new people bring into the business. So how many people? Set a goal. How many people is it that you want to enroll at each period? Now, those are kind of the fundamentals of how we build our business. But then it's also the activity, the action that it takes to do exactly that. So, what would your goals, your commitment be to start a ZBB in your market if you don't have one at that market? If you do, maybe it's a large market. Maybe there's room for 2 or 3 ZBBs based in large metro areas. Maybe getting another one started. That could be. Or just attending, make a commitment that once a week, if there is an event that happens in your marketplace, that you'll be at that event. And again, if there's not, by the end of the year, we definitely want to have one. But building your local market is one. Set a goal of, how many people do you want to, or what type of business do you want to start building outside of your local market? How many long distance packages or how many people will you prospect outside of your local area? Whether that's in the U.S., it's in North America, anywhere in the world, doesn't matter. Do you want to have an international business? The international business we had that I've got all came through people in our organization. So again, when you have goals, you have an action plan, know who you're working with, you have your personal activity, you commit to personal activity, sponsoring, involvement, then it's amazing how things start to appear. I really believe God doesn't give us anything that we cannot handle. And in our business, I believe it goes even a step further. We're not going to have people entering into our lives, entering into our business, into our organizations, if we're not prepared to handle them. And I'm not just talking about product users and people that are wanting a small part-time income. I'm talking about the people that can change the face of your business in a very short period of time. If we're not prepared, that's not going to happen. We're not going to get something that we cannot support or someone that we would let down. So we must strive to be in the game, to be excellent at what we do, to be in the know, to be plugged in, and to understand and know the resources. So even if it's somebody that's more advanced than we are in this business, particular business, they have more experience, let's say, we still understand the resources. We have relationships with our upline leadership that we could bring that person into our organization and we could help them succeed. We could provide them the necessary tools, resources, contact connections, so they are in an environment where they can succeed. And we have to be prepared for that success. And that's what really those commitments are. All starting with a goal, and then we start backing down. What do we need to achieve that goal? But the most important thing is the action and the activity, being plugged in, understanding what's happening. So, I've always been like that. I mean, I wanted to be when somebody in our group calls and they need an answer about virtually anything, whether it's the company, the product, the staff, would be able to have most of the answers. I don't have to say, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know. I want to be the leader that everyone knows and has the confidence in that they can come to, whether it be for coaching, for advice, for resources, to get questions answered. That's the goal that I set forth, so people know, not only do they know in their head, but in their heart, that I am serious. Does your organization know that you are serious? This is it. And again, I'm talking to people that want 2013 to be big. You want to keep pace with the company. You want to double, triple your organization. You want to be full-time, whether it's this year or next year. It can happen. I'm here to tell you, nobody could have been busier than me, had a small family, had all those things that everybody could possibly have in their lives that could be distractions and take time. But when that attitude of this is my business, it's my profession, when that really got into my soul, then everything changed. I wasn't deferring people to other people for questions and answers and making excuses. I was in the know. I was in the game. I wanted to be the quarterback, direct coach, head coach, whatever, direct the team, because it all stopped. The buck really does stop with me. How much bigger can the business be than I'm able to take it? It's very difficult for anything else to happen. So we have to be that person that we want to be in order to lead a large organization. Personal development. Absolutely got drowned myself in personal development. Every moment breaks during the day with my business. First thing in the morning when I got up, prayers and read 4 or 5 pages if that's all I could do. But I started to develop those habits so that whatever the action was that was necessary to reach the goals that I had set, I had the discipline to do that, right? Whether it was making phone calls, reading, attending presentations, meetings, regionals, national events. They were all in my calendar. I made the time to do it. I developed the habits that were necessary for success, and it happened. Was able to go full time after that first year. Built a very good group the second year. Third year, it was just incredible. Residual income is a beautiful thing, and we can all have that. But it's not the lottery. It's not going to just happen. It's not just going to drop in our lap. As I said before, if we're not prepared, nothing is going to drop in our lap. So we must be prepared. So that's what this time of year is for. The Christmas and the holidays are over. We're coming up on the New Year with a little bit of interruption with that. But it's that time between that we can use to put the game plan down. Abraham Lincoln said, if I had 8 hours to chop down a tree, I would spend the first 7 sharpening my axe. And I heard I think it was Gary Thompson said sometimes we have to slow down in order to grow. And all that means is it's just the planning stages, having a firm plan on paper, a strategy, a business plan on paper. Then we can move forward. Then we have a sharp axe. We know what we need to do. We don't have to think about it. We don't have to react. We can just respond to those things that happen in our business. And I know there's so many people out there that they've got to chop down a tree. They're out there in the woods trying to chop down trees with hammers, confusing motion with progress. That's I think the biggest mistake that we can all make. We need to be prepared. So now's that preparation time. These next this weekend, next few days, obviously continuing to follow up, make those calls, get more fit packs out, all those things that we know we need to do, especially by the 31st when the fit pack program ends. We need to get as many of those out as we can, right? So we can be following up to the year. But we need to carve out that time to set that plan on paper, to put that plan on paper, to be clear, to be specific, and have an action plan. And if you're not sure what that action plan could be or should be, that's what your upline is for. Get a hold of them. Say, here's my goals. Here's what I want. Here's what I think I need to do? It's important. What do you think you need to do? Because that's how we learn. We want to have everything, everybody telling us everything, and we want to be able to learn and work through the process, that thinking process, so that we can teach others. But we can help you put together that action plan, what exactly you need to do. I know all the leaders, if you talk to any leader, they've got their travel schedule set for the first quarter, knowing where the events are, knowing where they're going to be, knowing who they're going to work with. We already have that in place. We're doing that all year long. But, many people just getting started, really not understanding, this is that time where you can set that in place so you know exactly what you need to do in 213, and you know exactly where you want to end up, and you will. If you follow through with everything you say you're going to do, there's no doubt that it will be able to happen. So this is a fun time of year for me, closing out books in our company and getting ready for the new year, getting everything all clean. But I'm looking at my calendar, all the follow-ups I have today, my 3-card file, all the follow-ups I have today, new calls I need to make. That's still not going to interrupt the things that I need to do to build the business. That's what this is all about. So with that, we're at the bottom of the hour. I could not be more excited. Make a commitment, another goal, Freedom Friday all year long. You will work all week with your group, with your team, and Friday is the culmination where you're going to help create bigger checks. You're going to help create new pins within your organization, teaching people what Builder 500 legs are, what it means to be at that pin, and how to develop those legs. If you'll make that commitment, then you'll be forced all year long to pay attention all week and have that activity that will, again, culminate on Freedom Friday. So with that, we're just at the bottom of the hour, but I don't know if we have any other leaders that are on the speaker line that may want to make a comment or make an announcement before we get our day started.
Hey, Ron.
Hello.
Hey, it's Tony Flutter. How you doing?
Hey, Tony. How are you, my friend?
Good, man. Good. Great call. Great call. I just kind of want to jump in a little bit on what you was talking about for 2013 and kind of emphasize what the DLC, where Ryan has put together for this gold rush coming up in 2013. I think everybody needs to really look at that and plug into it. I've been asking them about getting just a gold rush site, actually, where we can go and find those events on there. I don't know if he's done that, but I know of each event, we have these gold rush come up, and Ryan is actually really serious about it. He's putting money into it. He's going to have, at the nicest hotels, he's going to do a gold rush dinner on Friday night. So he's really taking it serious, and I think we all need to also, to make 2013 the year that we plug in to all the events. Like, for example, the big event we have coming up on the 26th in Atlanta. I want to promote that, the Gold Rush in Atlanta, and it's going to be at a very nice hotel, the Renaissance at the airport. That Friday night, we're going to do a gold dinner. You can actually register for that now for the hotel at 404-209-9999, and that's January 26th in Atlanta. I think, I'm almost sure Chris Esther is going to be. I know Big Money Mike Sims will be there, and either Ron Larson or either Ryan Palmer will be there, and some more people from the company. But my thing is this: everybody knows somebody in Atlanta. You can start right now and say, who do you know who knows somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody who might know somebody in Atlanta, and get them out to that event. And not only that, put on your schedule to try to travel to get around to some of these places too, so you can stay plugged in to what the company is doing. I know I'm going to do that. I'm looking at the Gold Rush events and other places that we can find people that we can travel to support that, because it's nothing like having a fantastic event. When you put an event together that's nice, and you have the atmosphere there, and the excitement is there. I mean, it's almost 100% closing ratio there when you do that. So, I just want to kind of, talk about 2013 and say, look, we need to really, really take that serious and understand what the company is putting together. Really, Ryan Palmer, that's his baby. I think this Gold Rush events that they're going to be putting on all year long in different cities, and look to find people there and go get qualified too, so you can go to the gold dinner, because he's basing this on promoting more gold distributors. We know it's based on Builder 500s, but to get to gold goal, that's the foundation. That's where you want to get to, and then take off from there. So, my point is this: 2013. Let's stay plugged into these events. Let's take the Gold Rush event serious. And I really want to promote ours in Atlanta on the 26th. Hazel has helped set that up, and that's something that we're going to really push. And like I said, if you got people in that area, not only invite them out, I know sometimes traveling is expensive, but it's nothing like getting in that environment. It's nothing like being there with them and staying plugged in. So, just wanted to say that great call, man. 2013 is right here now, and we all need to really just plug in and stay plugged in all year, especially for the new people that are just getting on board, because there's nothing like being in the environment. Environment is so important. So appreciate it, man.
Oh, Tony, that's right. And, I know the corporate event was amazing, as far as the gold event that they had, that they would have, this is almost like a mini, international conference in what they're duplicating. But
Right.
people were all falling the activity was never higher than people trying to get and reach that gold level so they could attend that event. And, it was well worth it, that's for sure.
Right.
So I know exactly what you're saying. Appreciate that very much, and that your perspective from the DLC and what the company's got planned in 13. That's so true, and that's really what we're talking about today. Making that commitment to strive for excellence, to be in the know, to attend these events, to be able to tell and teach. Tell the stories to your organization that you made the commitment to be there. Perhaps you got on a plane or drove 4 or 5 hours to get to these events, so that you can describe them, how important they are, how they changed your business. If you don't, how would anybody be impacted? We know these events change businesses and change lives.
Yep.
Oh, we could go on all day. We're gonna have to leave it for another one, but appreciate everybody's time and attention here today. It is Freedom Friday. I know we're going to be working until the bell closes, doing everything we can to help anybody on our team that's trying to get to that